A total of not less than 119 boxing bouts were scheduled for April 2022, 6 of which were cancelled. The Nigerian-born David Adeleye finished off Chris Healey in round 4 of 8 rounds scheduled bout held at Wembley Stadium. The 25-year-old slow-moving Adeleye, who has been undefeated in his professional career, did a good job of frustrating a slower Healey's effort at landing something solid. Adeleye's powerful right landed in the 4th round and snapped Healey's head backwards. Like a predator pumped by the thirst of blood, Adeleye backed the powerful right with a left, backing Healey to a corner where Adeleye would upload, but the referee had seen enough and ended the fight. Errol, Spence and Yordenis, Ugas. Both fighters began with good body shots and sizing up, each holding a promise of victory. Of course, both fighters were champions, but the sun was only just appearing on the horizon, and so it was rather too early to tell who was going home with the 3 belts at stake. By round 3, Spence took a precarious control of the match with a couple of unreplied shots to Ugas' midsection and head. In round 5, more unreplied shots landed for Spence, but a brief moment in 6, when he lost focus, Ugas wobbled him with a straight right, thanks to the ropes that prevented Spence from reaching the canvas. By round 7, Spence had taken full control of the bout, erupting the crowd as he threw punches with the confidence of a man who had already smelt victory. Not even Ugas' defense stopped Spence's strikes from landing. In round 8, a doctor examined Ugas' eye that was closing already and advised he could continue in the bout that had become a one-way traffic, with Spence having the upper hand. By round 10, the doctors took another look at Ugas' eye and this time decided he had to see to fight another day. The referee ended the match. Spence picked a round 10 TKO victory and went home the unified welterweight champion of the world. Spence holds the WBC, WBA and IBF belt. Tyson Fury vs Dillian Whyte. This was one of the big ones, if not the biggest one in the month of April. The fight between the WBC heavyweight champion of the world and the WBC interim heavyweight champion of the world held on 23rd April 2022 at Wembley Stadium, England. Prior to the fight, Fury had claimed he could beat Dillian with one leg, but it took him well over 15 minutes to do that on both legs. Dillian began the fight with southpaw, shocking many felt he was a fixated orthodox. He also scored good body shots even though Fury landed more than him. In round 2, Fury came out southpaw only to be greeted by an orthodox Dillian. To register his disappointment, he caught Dillian with a sweeping left that sent Dillian to the ropes. By round 3, both fighters had returned to orthodox stance. Whether with southpaw or with orthodox stance, Fury frustrated and angered Dillian so much that by round 4, Dillian registered his anger and frustration when he brought his elbow twice into Fury's face and continued throwing punches even when the referee had called for a break. The referee is forced to stop the time twice and sternly warned both fighters. But Dillian Whyte, who already had been bleeding from the corner of his right eye, was not listening much, for after one of the warnings, he punched Fury repeatedly in frustration on the back of the head. Fury hastened things with jabs and body shots in round 5. Perhaps for him, the bout had lasted long already, and there was an urgent need to send an angry and frustrated Dillian home. In round 6, Dillian throws a sweeping powerful right that Fury dodges. The force of the punch sends Dillian to the ropes and Fury locks him there without making any offense, more like just holding him to relax and looking over at the referee to come take charge of the action. Shortly after action begins at the center of the ring, Fury throws 2 left jabs and follows up with a savage uppercut before lightly shoving Dillian, who goes to the canvas. Dillian beats the count but cannot consciously walk to the referee. Instead, he wobbles into the ropes and the referee calls an end to the fight. In other heavyweight bouts of the month of April, Tristan Sweet Tea Kalkreuth, returning from a shoulder injury that kept him out of action for about 9 months and making his heavyweight debut, picked a round 2 knockout victory over Satander Silgado. Matty knocked out Metsis within 75 seconds into the first round of their heavyweight bout held in Newcastle, and Hosea Stewart defeated Phil Williams via round 4 decision. Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez, 2 former featherweight champions and reigning junior lightweight champions, met in a unification bout on the last day of April. The fighters were the WBO junior lightweight champion of the world Shakur Stevenson and the WBA junior lightweight champion of the world Oscar Valdez. The mightily close fight started with both fighters directing body shots at each other, but from the first round, Shakur Stevenson had shown himself as a better fighter. He had the reach advantage, was calm, tactical and calculative. Oscar Valdez, on the other hand, had sheer gut, tactical moves, and as always a tendency towards avoidable mistakes. It was his mistake that made him slip in the first round, of which Stevenson capitalized. Though he could not turn it into a knockdown, he would however secure a cut in Oscar's right eye and a knockdown in round 6. Throughout the fight, each fighter struggled to keep each other at bay, as whoever closed the distance wreaked havoc. Stevenson's reach advantage gave him an upper hand even from the distance, and to close the distance Valdez made many mistakes. Thanks to his impressive defense abilities and his stamina as a boxer, otherwise he would have been knocked out within the distance. At the start of the 12th round, Oscar upped his aggression, forcing Stevenson to be more defensive than offensive, but still, Stevenson wasted no chance every time he closed the distance. The match went the distance and Shakur Stevenson became the unified junior lightweight champion of the world, effectively ending Oscar Valdez's winning streak. Taylor and Amanda Serrano. 2 female boxing legends, Taylor and Amanda Serrano, flexed muscle at Madison Square Garden in New York, with Taylor's light heavyweight titles on the line. The bout, which was the first women boxing match to headline Madison Square Garden, was far from being a disappointment. If anything, it had in good proportions ingredients of a bout between 2 boxing virtuosos, and many have described it as the biggest women's fight of all times. The fighters could not finish things within the distance, not like the fans were eager for a knockout, and by the end of the 10th round of boxing, the judges handed Taylor a split decision victory. Life is a battle.
Protect yourself at all times.
Fight hard, fight clean.